Hey, what's happening y'all? Balrogx here. The bleed train is back again. Oh yeah, I had to do it because this underrated weapon will make bleed meta bandits and scavenger curve swords, even Godskin Peeler, a run for their money. I am so amazed that this weapon hasn't been prayed before, with instant bleeding and early to mid-game farming for power stancing, and the ability to add Ashes of War to them with high blood loss buildup and physical damage. It's just the best you can ask for an amazing weapon to destroy everything in seconds. Let's check it out. Game on! Quick shout out to our sponsor AOE.com. If you don't have the time to grind for runes or items in Elden Ring and need them real fast, use my code BAL for 3% off. The weapon that I'm referring to is the underrated Vulgar Militia Saw. It has so much potential that it's perfect for a bleed build for these three reasons. First, it's the only halberd that has 55 blood loss by default, or any blood loss matter of fact. Compared to other halberds, the physical damage is not the best and it's not the worst, but it's stronger compared with the meta bandits and scavenger curve swords per hit. When power stancing, it does only 2 hits when jump attacking and follow combos, contrast to the curve sword that does more than 2 hits and are faster. So in short, the Militia Saw hits less, but harder and farthest. And when you get the weapon max with these build attributes, you can even pop blood loss immediately on your first hit. So your damage ramps up right from the start. With Occult Affinity, it ends up scaling E with Strength, which we don't use, Dexterity at D, and Arcane at B, causing 115 blood loss buildup on each weapon. Number 2, it can be infused with Ashes of War, so you can add your preferred skill to your build. Dual Seppuku, Seppuku with Bloodhound Step, you name it. It fits right into the meta bleed build and gives you room to try different stuff. In this case, I'm using the Sword Dance Ash of War, and it gives a little more quickness to a finisher or a follow combo. And number 3, it can be farmed early to mid game, and the requirements are super low, so you can start using this weapon really in no time. Okay, now where to get it? It's pretty simple. You just have to kill the little annoying vulgar militia enemies that wield the halberd. But the earliest you can get it is teleporting to Caelid. So I'm going to demonstrate it with my level 40 samurai, that you need to go to the Third Church of Marika in the east part of Limgrave. And right outside where the Site of Grace is, there's a portal hidden in the pond that will take you to the Bestial Sanctum in Dragonbarrow. Be sure to activate that Site of Grace because you will have to teleport back when farming. When you go out the Sanctum, take a left and follow this short route, and there are 3 Vulgar Militia wielding it. When you kill all 3, teleport back and start again. Like I mentioned before, the Ash of War I'm using on the main hand is Sword Dance that will perform a quick forward movement follow up by 2 hit slash with the main hand and a 3rd hit if you press the skill button a 2nd time mid animation. I find it useful when I want to follow up a jump attack or use it as a finisher or mid combo because of its quickness. This Ash of War is also found early to mid game, killing a teardrop scarab nearby the minor air tree southwest of the lakes. You have to surround it below the cliff leading to a road where a few jellyfish enemies are located. And another thing to note is that to apply the occult affinity that you need for this weapon, you need the black wet blade that is found on a corpse in front of an altar in Knight's Sacred Ground at Nokron Eternal City. That area is accessible only when you kill Radahn, so it's really past mid game. The way to play this is like any other meta bleed build. You will rely on jump attacks mostly and then on successive combos and using the skill Sword Dance and repeating this again. Jump attacks is where the highest damage will come from, taking advantage of the long reach of the Vulgar Militia Saw to engage. But be careful that because of the long reach, sometimes you can miss the jump attack if you are too close. If the enemy is too quick, jump attacks and the occasional power stancing 2-hit or sword dance skill 3-hit combo. A good move that this weapon has is the step back and 2-hit poke that will keep enemies at a distance. Guys, get used to this weapon speed so you time your attacks perfectly, and try to avoid leaving yourself open after a hit or a missed jump attack or combo. Now let's take a look at the rest of the armaments. I got 2 Vulgar Militia Saw, max level with Occult Affinity to get the most blood loss possible, the main hand with Sword Dance, and the offhand with Seppuku Ash of War. Also in the main hand, a dagger with Golden Vow Ash of War, and in the offhand, a finger seal to do Flame Grant Me Strength Incantation. The armor is based on the annoying Vulgar Militia enemies, comprised of helm, armor, gauntlets, and greaves. But for fashion purposes, I'm using the Vulgar Militia helm, the Raptor's Black Feathers chest piece that will increase jump attack damage, the Elden Lore bracers, and the Vulgar Militia greaves. If you really want to make the most damage possible and sacrifice fashion, you can use the white mask instead of the helm to have even more attack power when Bloodlust is nearby. The talisman of this build are: first, we got Lord of Blood's Exultation that raises attack power by 20% for 20 seconds. When Bloodlust occurs in the vicinity, it drops from the boss Esgar, Priest of Blood in Lanedale Catacombs at Lanedale Capital. Next is Rotten Winged Sword Insignia that increases attack power depending on the number of attacks you land. So every 3 attacks you activate a tier, and those tiers are 6%, 8%, and 13%. Next is Millicent Prosthesis that increases attack power depending on the number of attacks you land. So every 3 attacks you activate a tier, and those tiers are 4%, 6%, and 11%, and increases dexterity by 5. Both stack together and are obtained after completing Millicent questline and choosing one of the 2 options. I recommend you get first the Rotten Winged Sword Insignia, and then in your second playthrough you get the Millicent Prosthesis, but in the middle of the questline when she appears on the town with the crazy ladies. But if you don't have it yet, you can use this talisman as alternatives: the Green Turtle Talisman, Radagon Sword Seal, or the Dragon Quest Grey Shield Talisman. And finally, the Claw Talisman that will increase the jump attack damage by 15%. It's found in Stormvale Castle. Now for the PHYSICK class, we got Thorny Crack tier that will increase attack power depending on the number of attacks you land by 3 minutes. So every 3 attacks you activate a tier, and those tiers are 9%, 13%, 20%. Just like the Rotten Winged Insignia and Millicent Prosthesis Talisman. And the good thing is that this tier stacks with both of them, so when you have all 3 activated, you're going to have an incredible increase on attack power. It's dropped by the Putrid Avatar at the Minor Earth Tree in the Consecrated Snowfield, that's the west side of Mountain Tops of the Giants. The second tier is a Dexterity-knot crystal tier that will increase dexterity by 10, increasing the overall physical damage of the Militia Saw, and lasts 3 minutes as well. It's found on a small island at Leonard of the Lakes, southwest of Boiled Prawn Shack. So I got a few incantations in this build: Flame Garment Strength that will increase physical damage and fire damage by 20%, and plus 5 stamina recovery. It lasts 30 seconds and can be found behind Fort Gale in Caelid between 2 mechanical flamethrowers. And we got Flame Cleanse Me that is just a cleanse incantation to get rid of poison and rot debuff, and as well as a buildup. It's found in the Firemonk camp southeast of the Church of Vows in Leonard of the Lakes. The buff sequence before a challenging or boss fight will be first the PHYSICK Flash, since the tiers last 3 minutes each, and then Golden Vow Ash of War, Flame Garment Strength, and finally Seppuku by changing your offhand to be two-handed, and when applied, change it back to power stancing, and finally take an FP Flask if needed, and you're ready to go. The primary attributes of this build is Arcane, Vigor, and Dexterity. The combination with bleed weapons with the Call Affinity with high levels of Arcane is super powerful and almost the first option for bleed builds. And Vigor because when you get hit, you will feel it. The armor is not that heavy, so you need to withstand heavy hits from bosses. And Dexterity because the weapon damage scales more with Dexterity than Strength. The character I'm using is a revert vagabond, so a few of the attributes that I'm not using might differ from you if you are using a different class. Now, if you're creating this build from the beginning, you can start selecting a samurai, a confessor, a bandit, or a hero. For early game, you want your points more in dexterity than arcane first, since you won't have the black wet blade to apply the Call Affinity yet, and you still want to deal some good damage, right? So your character level 50, you want to have your points around this value. Vigor at 25, Mind at 10, Endurance at 15, Strength at 15 to meet the strength requirements of the Vulgar Militia Saw, Dexterity at 30 to do decent damage and surpass the dexterity requirement of the weapon, Intelligence at 9, Faith at 15 to be able to cast Flame Garment Strength incantation, Arcane at 10. For a level 100 character, you want to start gradually increasing your arcane points, so when you get the black wet blade, you can start doing great bleed damage. So we got Vigor at 40, Mind at 12, Endurance at 20, Strength at 15, Dexterity at 38, Intelligence at 9, Faith at 15, Arcane at 30. For a level 150 character, you want to go all out in Arcane to deal the most damage, and don't forget about Vigor as well. Now, Vigor at 55, Mind at 15, Endurance at 25, Strength at 15, Dexterity at 40, Intelligence at 9, Faith at 15, and Arcane at 55. For a level 200 like my character, you want the point to look like this. Vigor at 65, Mind at 20, Endurance at 30, Strength at 15, Dexterity at 45, but you will get it to 50 with Millicent Prosthesis, Intelligence at 9, Faith at 15, and Arcane at 80. So when I did the full playthrough with this build, I was burning fast through all the bosses. I was amazed. The weapon hits hard, it pops bleed at your first or second hit, it has long range, and when doing those combos or jump attack, I really don't know why this weapon doesn't have the attention it really deserves. It really shines with the bleed build and it's so easy to farm that you can't pass on it. The only advice I give is to time this weapon swings well, because its power sensing halberd is not as quick as curved swords or twin blades, and sometimes getting into close range might make you miss some jump attacks, so stay mid or max range. So guys, what are you waiting for? Go get those Vulgar Militia Saw right now and start owning stuff in Elden Ring. And now you know what to do, my tribe. Hit that like button to help the channel out and spread of this video. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I really appreciate you all and all your support. If you like bleed builds, I'll leave a couple of meta bleed build videos that you might want to check out. With that, I'll leave you be guys, but remember, be safe and see you on the next one. Ciao!